Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. I am excited about today's topic, focusing on YouTube's forgotten fragrance favorites. So I would say the fragrances that I'm going to talk about today, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago or so, somewhere in that time frame, were super special on YouTube. Everyone was buying them. Everyone was hyping them up. The fragrances were the it girls of the YouTube perfume world. And I know as I watched videos, I went out and purchased some of these based on recommendations from other YouTubers. And now this funny thing is happening. It's just like this phenomenon that happened. You're in and then you're out. Avita Zen. So these are fragrances that were really in at one point and now they are just not. They're on the chopping block for YouTubers. They're getting decluttered. You're hearing people say things like they're just not doing it for me anymore. It's just not that special. Or I have this new shiny, bright, super smelling fragrance that's just so much better than this one. And they're out the door just like that. These fragrances are out on the fragrance streets, fending for themselves. They're still in my collection, and with the exception of maybe one, and I'll talk about why, I think I'm going to keep the whole set that I'm going to talk about today. Before we get into the fragrances, you tell me, name a fragrance that you have seen hyped on YouTube in the past that all of a sudden just fell off the face of the earth, fell off cliffs, took a nosedive, bungee jumped off of a fragrance skyscraper somewhere, never to be seen again. What are fragrances that you saw floating around, getting hyped up, where everybody just had to have it? It was the thing, and now no one's talking about it anymore. Drop it in the comments. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. So I have 12 fragrances that I'm going to share, and if you stick around to the end, I'm going to predict 5 fragrances that I think within the next year are going to end up in declutter piles or not shown any love. So, by the way, before we get started, by no means am I saying, of course, that no one ever talks about these and no one's keeping them in their collection. I'm just saying that there's a trend in general for these fragrances to have fallen out of favor. They were like Icarus. They got too close to the sun, melted a little bit and fell back down to earth and are just no longer the focus of attention, generally speaking. Let's get right to it. The first one, I don't have a full bottle of, but the bottles look like this. And that may give you a hint of what I'm about to talk about. It is Jasmines Marzipan from Maison Lancome, the private or, more exclusive line from Lancome. This was all the rage, about a year and a half ago or so. It is a gorgeous fragrance, and I'm not sure why it has fallen out of grace. This is a musky jasmine fragrance with a distinct sort of almond note, thus the marzipan part, and it has a vanilla and I think some sandalwood in the base also. Really a pretty jasmine fragrance if you're into that floral, but it's nicely rounded out by the musk and the almond notes so that the jasmine isn't overwhelming in this fragrance and it's not the star. It sort of plays along well with the others, but don't hear a whole lot of people talking about this one anymore, and it's certainly not on all the hype lists. Would you agree? Let's go to number 2. Next is a group of fragrances, the most famous of which is Reb'l Fleur from Rihanna. There's Reb'l Fleur, there's Love Always. There was one called Reb'l, which I don't think I've ever tried. It was like this, but had red on it. Love Always is more of a black bottle with the same kind of design. And then there was a nude version of this, or there is a nude version rather. But this fragrance about 2 years ago was so hyped up and on everyone's list, and it was so sexy and such a great date night fragrance, and it's gonna bring all the boys to the yard and all that sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden, no one's talking about it. I shouldn't say all of a sudden. Maybe it had a gradual decline. But certainly in the last maybe 6 months or so to a year, I haven't heard a lot about this. It's on very few people's lists. And I just recently picked it up in 2021, like mid-year 2021. I really like this. This is a heavily fruity, musky, sensual kind of fragrance. There's coconut and tuberose in the middle as well. I enjoy this. It can be a little bit screechy, and maybe that's why people are getting rid of it. But once the screechiness sort of calms down from initial spray, this settles down into a grown up and I think very sexy fragrance. So Reb'l Fleur, you still got my attention. Let's go on to number 3. Number 3 was the sophisticated sweetheart of the perfume world. Again, about a year and a half or so ago, maybe 2 years ago. It is L'Extase Rose Absolue from Nina Ricci. Do you have this in your collection? Do you feel like you got sucked into purchasing this? I did, and I don't regret it, and she's still in my collection. I put a bit of a dent in this here, which may not seem like a lot, but if you see my perfume collection and there's more somewhere else, that's a big deal. I really like this. It has been said to be a dupe or very close to Oud Satin Mood from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. He is the perfumer behind this fragrance as well. It's this dark, spicy, mature, peppery rose fragrance. Wonderful for special occasions, has a little bit of powderiness to it, a little bit of woodiness and some patchouli as well. Great special occasion fragrance. Everyone just had to have it. Do you remember hearing that this was going out of stock as people were just rushing to grab this fragrance, and then you didn't hear about it anymore? People just decided they have moved on from Nina Ricci's Rose Extase Absolue. They wanted something new and something different, and this just fell off of a fragrance cliff somewhere. But I still like it, and I think it's beautiful and continues to deserve attention. Number 4 is from the same house. Do we remember the hype over the blue bottle, Chant Extase? Listen, this is still a gorgeous fragrance. I get out of this ginger and lemon at the top. There's a citrusy, spicy opening to this. It has sea notes. It has vanilla and caramel in it. The caramel is not super prominent. You get like hints of it, but there's something sort of marine-like and salty yet sweet and fruity about this, and it has florals too. So it's like an all-in-one in this pretty blue bottle. Everyone just had to have this about a year or so ago, and no one's paying any attention to Chant Extase these days. I still love this and plan to pull this out more this spring and summer. This is, well, I shouldn't say love. That's a little strong. I really, really like this fragrance and plan to give this bottle more attention than it's gotten in the winter here. This is one that I think will really shine in warm weather and blossom and bloom in a way that it probably can't in cold weather. Do you have this fragrance? What do you think of it? Did you notice that this was the it girl or it guy about a year ago, and now no one's interested in this or talking about it? In the number 5 spot, and these are in no order, it's just the order that I grabbed them in, is one that last spring into summer, everyone just had to have. Actually, it was last winter. So winter of 2021 into the spring and the summer. And it's Dolce Garden. Do you have this? I still love this. This is a favorite of my husband's on me. This is a yellow floral, very sweet yellow floral with some coconut in it. Great, 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 like resort fragrance, tropical summer fragrance. If you want something a little bit heavier, a little bit sultrier, well, it's not that heavy. It's not like it's a bomb of a fragrance, but it's got some weight to it, if that makes sense, in comparison to other fragrances you might wear in the summer. In fact, this is great in the winter too, but it definitely has a tropical flair with those yellow florals and that touch of coconut in it. And yeah, this one seemed like everyone wanted it, and now people are like, oh, it's cloying, it's too much for me, I don't like it, and they're getting rid of poor Dolce Garden. I still have love for you, girl. We're gonna hang out this summer, okay? Don't you worry, girl. You put on your sundress and your flip-flops, and I'm gonna pick you up in my sun hat and my sunglasses. We're gonna jump in the Jeep, put the top down, and ride on the sand dunes, okay? We're gonna be all right. Number 6 is my scent of the day, and I am just shocked, okay, that this one has fallen from grace lately and seems to be making its way out of a lot of collections on YouTube. It's Girl of Now from Elie Saab. It's beautiful. It's this sweet almond pistachio fragrance with florals and tonka bean in the base. I find this super feminine and pretty. I don't understand why it's getting so much hate. Well, I shouldn't say hate. It's not getting hate. It's just sort of going out of the door from people's collections. I think this is super pretty and I love the bottle. I think it's an elegant, gorgeous Art Deco design on here. I don't understand why this is leaving collections. If it's leaving yours, can you just share your thoughts in the comments for us? Would love to know. I also have Shine from this line that I love as well. They're staying and I'll be wearing them spring into summer as well. Number 7 is one of the coziest, most comforting fragrances in my collection. And I absolutely bought this because it had a lot of hype on YouTube a while back. Signorina Mysteriosa from Salvatore. Ferragamo. Gorgeous bottle with the ribbons on the side. I actually purchased the clear one of this. I think it's called Eleganza, which is also a beautiful scent. I ended up selling that because it didn't last very long on me. So, I mean, can I get more than an hour on a fragrance? That one I sprayed right on. In fact, I think within 30 minutes, I didn't smell it anymore, but it was such a pretty, beautiful, elegant fragrance. This one does last longer, not forever and ever. You get about a half a day's worth out of this. And it has berries at the top. There's a real sort of sweetness to this. And there's a falcon overhead, which is, I film and I'm facing back to my yard, which is wooded. And we've got all these nests in the trees and we get all these beautiful birds coming through. So I just saw a falcon. Distraction. Focus, Veronica. It has a milk mousse note in it, which I think makes this fragrance really soft and comforting. And there's tuberose and orange blossom along with those sweet berries at the top, as I mentioned. So it's sweet and there's like this smooth creaminess to this. And I just find this comforting and pretty. A very pretty fragrance, a great sweater fragrance, a great winter fragrance if you want something that's sweet and comforting but not overpowering. Definitely this one. Not sure why it has fallen from grace. Do you still have this in your collection? Let us know. In 8th place is actually a group of fragrances. It isn't just one, but I pulled out one to represent the bunch. And this is Alien Eau Sublime or Sublime. Beautiful citrus floral version of the original Alien. But it's the entire group of Alien flankers that has fallen out of grace. Alien still stays in people's collections who love it. People are typically either like diehard fans of Alien or they can't stand it. One or the other. I'm on the diehard fan side. But there were a lot of flankers of the Alien fragrance that were really hot on the market a while back. There were a bunch of them. I have a little list here. You had Alien Fusion, Eau Extraordinaire, Musk Mysterio, Mirage, Oud Magisto, and a bunch of others. Now there's Alien Goddess on the market, which when it came out, people were like, ew, I don't like it. It's not special enough. Except people that did like it that are like, wait a minute, everybody, slow down, slow your roll. This is actually a nice fragrance. It's not in my 5 fragrances that I predict will be off the scene, but I bet that that one will start to be decluttered in another year or so. I still like all of the flankers. I have mine. I enjoy them. And I'm not sure why they're getting so much hate. And by the way, this particular one, the Sublime or Sublime one, the bottle is so pretty. Let's move on. Okay, tell me if you agree with me on this next one or if I am looking too much into a few people who seem to be maybe representing an upcoming trend. Good old Shoggoth Oud from Swiss Arabian seems to be on the chopping block more and more these days. And I don't get it. I actually prefer this to Oud Bouquet. I love Oud Bouquet. I think it is a gorgeous fragrance. It's just difficult to wear because it is so heavy and so thick and like so nuclear. This is like a step down from the nuclear Oud Bouquet and a little tiny bit easier to wear. You still get the heavy rose and the oud and the praline and the vanilla in this. And I still think it's a beauty of a fragrance at a steal. This is in like the $50-ish range or somewhere in there. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on the gray market, like your Fragrance Net and so forth. Really, really pretty. But I'm seeing more and more that this one has fallen from grace. And people are reaching for it less. They're loving on it less. And it may also have to do with the fact that there has been a rush of rose oud kind of fragrances into the market in the past year. So maybe this one isn't quite as special as it used to be because it has so many competitors. I'm not sure, but I still like this one and she still has a place on my shelf. Number 9 is Viktor and Rolf's Bon Bon, and this is the couture version that looks exactly the same, except the edges of this are a little bit frosted. But this and Bon Bon seem to have fallen out of grace. People don't love them anymore, although if you remember a couple of years ago, they were on everyone's shelves, especially the Bon Bon, the original version. It's sweet, like a fruity caramel with a little bit of woodiness to it. It smelled a little sugary, and everyone just had to have it. It was like the it girl fragrance, especially for younger ladies, like between like college age to early 30s and so forth. They were rocking the heck out of some Bon Bon. And then when Bon Bon Couture came along, same thing. And I don't see people talking about these very much anymore. A few people here and there that I watch anyway. Maybe you see people talking about them more. And in fact, I see a lot of people getting rid of these fragrances. So I don't get it. I think they are cute. I think the bottles are just adorable. And Couture is staying on my shelf, and my travel spray of Bon Bon is staying on my shelf. And I now have a dupe of Bon Bon even that I would take on vacation that I got from Stargaze Fragrances. They're all staying with me. In 11th place are Britney Spears fragrances as a whole, but two in particular that I see very few people talking about: Private Show and VIP Private Show. I think both of these are really great. Not the longest lasting fragrances, but really lovely, feminine, soft, wonderful smells that, if you look up reviews, have gotten a bad rap. It's like stripper fragrances and all of this crazy stuff. The regular Private Show, it has coffee and there's a whipped cream and dulce de leche kind of thing that gives it like a milky quality. It's very sweet and very sort of a beautiful like skin scent for someone to come in and hug you and be like, ooh, you smell warm and comforting. And then VIP Private Show is similar, but this one has some tropical fruit notes. I think there's a mango note and others like that, like more berries in here, but both are really pretty and still winners in my book. Then in 12th place, and don't go away, we're still going to talk about some that I predict are going to fall off, is a fragrance that it seemed everyone had to have. It was like uber duper hyped up in everyone's collection. Every time I turned on a YouTube fragrance video, someone was talking about this. Rich, Warm, Addictive by Zara. I was really late to the train on this. I think I got this about a year ago. And this is the one that I mentioned earlier. There was one I think I might be letting go of. I'm not sure, but I am considering this one going out of the door. Not because it doesn't smell good, but because the longevity on this is abysmal. I'll spray this on and within 30 minutes, I don't smell anything. And I just think that's pitiful. It's like a tobacco sweet fragrance. There's supposed to be honey and coconut. I can't say that I get honey and coconut. I do get like a very sweetened, soft, round tobacco out of this that's comforting and fun while it lasts. While it lasts. It's like that person that you were dating long ago that was just so fun for about 5 minutes, and then they went away and you wondered what happened to them. That's this fragrance here. Yeah, so it might be going out of the door, but do you remember the hype around this? Do you still have this and do you still enjoy it? Now let's get into 5 fragrances. They were the first that I could find, and I'm sure there's a whole list of like 100 that we could come up with that are in favor now and will probably be out of favor in a year and be in everybody's declutter list. This one may be a little controversial if you have it. I'm not letting go of this. It's Narciso Hombre, one of the cubes, one of the Narciso cubes. Poudre is hanging on. The white cube is hanging on. And for some reason, I can't remember. Oh, the red one, the Rouge. Some people like it or not. This ombre one was rather new, if I'm not mistaken, last summer, and it has yellow florals in it, which is what sets it apart from the others. Still has that musk, but this got a lot of hype when it first came out and people rushed to get it, and I just wonder how long it'll stick around. I'm thinking it's got another year of shelf life before people start to get sick of it and want to get rid of it or find something better than it. Then I'm gonna go on and say it. I'm not getting rid of these, but I have a feeling that within the next year, we're going to see the newest stars going up for sale, chopping block, declutter. There was the Eau Crozier versions, the 2019, which had a prominent mango note, and this is the 2020 version that is heavier on the fig, and then the Angel Ice Star, which is heavy on like a pineapple, coconut type of thing. I love these. I'm going to be rocking them this spring and summer a lot, but mark my words, we're going to be seeing this. I say that really confidently and I'm not sure, but I think we're going to be seeing this in declutter piles soon, or these in declutter piles soon. What do you think? One that I'm already starting to see signs of people getting tired of, but I just got into it like in the past season or so, and I got it for Christmas. It's Valentino Born in Roma. I had a travel spray of this for a while that I loved and enjoyed. People have called this basic and boring and just another designer fragrance that smells generic. I'm okay with smelling generic, especially if it's a pretty smell, and this is a pretty smell, and I love the bottle. This is a vanilla, really sweet, woody fragrance that is a bit intoxicating to me, but people are starting to get sick of it and declutter it. Then I think this one is going to hurt a feeling or two if you believe that what I'm about to say could be true. It's Mont Blanc Signature, another one that I just enjoy. This is like a musky lemon dreamsicle kind of a fragrance, citrus and soft, sweet, powdery musk. Love, 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 but I can see this one for a lot of people going away as they get enamored with newer fragrances on the market. And that's kind of just the way the perfume and makeup world and clothing world and bag world and all of that stuff goes. What's new on the market is hot and what's old is not. And this is going to get old soon, even though it just made its like big appearance on YouTube about a year or so ago. Love, love, love. Then is a fragrance that had a rise and I think is about to have a fall, and that is Balenciaga's Flora Botanica. Okay, you got your, well, I didn't realize that. Is this red on the side? No. What in the world? I just realized that my bottle has a red side. Does yours? Where have I been that I never noticed that? I was thinking it was a reflection from somewhere, but it's not. The other side is clear. Does your bottle look like that? Anyway, this fragrance. This is your green rose garden fragrance with heavy herbs, and you get a cannabis note in there. It's a really interesting fragrance that I think was in vogue to like because it's so weird and different. But I think that people that are traditionalists about their fragrance profiles will start to tire of this in the next year or so and start to put it back on their chopping blocks. I could be completely wrong about these guesses. I'm doing this just for fun and for your entertainment. What do you think is going to end up on the chopping block in the next year? Put it down in the comments without giving any hate. We don't need to be hating on people's fragrances that they love. We don't need to do all that. But you can say, I think XYZ is because it's super hype now, but I'm not sure if people are really as into it as they say. Let's do that in the comments. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this fun video. I've been wanting to film this for a while and would love to hear if you think there are any other of YouTube's forgotten loves that we should resurface. And if you're interested in a part 2, let me know that too in the comments. Take care, friends.